Thank you, Chris, and good afternoon, everyone. My name's Fiona O'Cleary and I work at the Kingston branch of Leaders. My time there is divided between being a viewings assistant and working in property management. Part of my role in property management is to carry out property visits during tenancies, and I wanted to take a few minutes to explain the importance of these visits in protecting your investment. Over the last 5 years, legislation relating to tenancy deposits has been introduced to protect the tenancy deposits, which must be held as a stakeholder and protected within an approved scheme. Unfortunately, we hear of many cases where landlords have had insufficient evidence to support the condition of their property at the start of the tenancy, which means they've been able to provide anything that will back up their claim for damage caused by tenants when the tenancy has ended. The same can also be true of maintenance issues which have gone unreported. A small maintenance issue that's not dealt with in a timely manner can turn a minor problem into a substantial and expensive repair if left unchecked. In all of these cases, there is a financial loss to the landlord, whether that's due to the increased cost of the repairs or the loss of rent due to the prolonged void periods whilst essential and substantial works are carried out. So, as Leaders landlords, I'm sure you'll all be very pleased to know that we do a number of things to ensure that this doesn't happen to you. Firstly, we ensure that each property is provided with a professional inventory and schedule of condition, which clearly documents the condition of the property at the start of the tenancy. For those of you that attended last year, I'm sure you will recall that we showed you examples of good and bad inventories, and I think it would probably be helpful to again show these examples. With respect to poor inventories, as you can see, there is very little detail, with no information on the condition of rooms, walls, doors, and furniture, etc. Whereas on a professional inventory, not only is there significant detail about each room, there's also photographic evidence to support and back up the comments made within the inventory. At Leaders, we are constantly striving to improve and provide a service which exceeds the expectations of our clients, and in particular have invested heavily in the last 12 months on a new and very innovative system of producing inventories and property visit reports, which ensures our inventories are informative, detailed and highly professional in their presentation and content. In addition to a professional inventory service, all Leaders managed properties benefit from mid-term property visits. During the visit, we check whether the tenant is taking care of your property and also look for evidence of any damage, maintenance issues or potential hazards which have come to light during the tenancy term. After each visit, a detailed report with photographs as appropriate is created and provided to both you and the tenant. There are 4 main areas of risk that can be averted as a result of mid-term property visits. And these are, firstly, damage caused by tenants that would otherwise not be discovered until the end of the tenancy. This can result in a costly void period whilst work is done to repair the damage. If we discover the damage during the tenancy, arrangements can be made so that repairs are undertaken quickly and efficiently, which allows the property to be re-let immediately with no delays. An example of this is where a tenant spilled red wine onto a cream carpet and then simply laid a rug over the top. Fortunately, it was noticed by our property inspector during a visit, and when highlighted to the tenant, they agreed to have the carpet replaced at their own expense during the tenancy. When they eventually gave notice, the property was re-let within 3 days, and the new tenants moved in within 7 days of the end of that tenancy. Secondly, maintenance issues which tenants may not notice and therefore go unreported, which can cause greater damage in the long run. In every Leaders tenancy agreement, it states that tenants must report any maintenance issues as soon as they become aware, either to us as the managing agent or to the landlord. However, very often tenants don't know what constitutes a maintenance issue. One very common example is a dripping overflow. To the tenant, it may just seem like an annoying drip that they can hear through the window, but if that overflow pipe continues to drip, then it doesn't take long for the water to penetrate the wall, causing problems with damp and then damage to the internal decor. Unfortunately, there are also occasions when tenants think there is an issue, but for one reason or another, they choose not to report it. More often than not, this occurs when someone is in the latter months of their tenancy. As they plan to leave soon, they often do not want to have the upheaval of work being undertaken at the property whilst they're in residence. The terms and conditions of a leader's tenancy agreement states that any damage caused as a result of an issue not being reported can potentially be claimed against the tenancy deposit. Again, the most common example of this is condensation, which can cause mildew and mould. It's a particularly common problem during the winter months in poorly ventilated kitchens and bathrooms, but can also occur in other rooms. If left untreated, it can be extremely costly to put right. However, if it is identified during a property visit, then steps can be taken to alleviate the problem, such as fitting an extractor fan in a poorly ventilated room. The fourth area of risk is thankfully much less common, but certainly makes the news on more occasions than points 1 to 3, and that's illegal activity. It's no surprise that a great deal of publicity has been given to illegal cannabis farms found in rented accommodation. These criminal tenants are usually very reliable payers. After all, the £1,200 per calendar month they're paying in rent is a mere drop in the ocean when compared to the thousands of pounds they're making through this illegal activity. There are numerous other activities which have had recent media coverage that can either be avoided or averted when the property is managed by a letting agent and when property visits are then regularly carried out by the agent. Our fully managed landlords are sitting comfortably in the knowledge that leaders are doing everything possible to look after their properties and taking every possible action to avoid this type of scenario. However, for those landlords here who do not benefit from our fully managed service, you may be wondering how you can ensure that you're protected in the same way. Often, you may have a good relationship with your tenants and you don't want to intrude. Or it may be that you just don't have the time or the expertise to visit the property and document the findings of your visit correctly. The good news is that leaders can offer the additional specialist service of property visits to help protect and secure your investment. And you will find details in the delegate packs, or you can of course speak to someone in your local branch for more information.